complex issue you addressed at the beginning of your speech today was what happened in Charleston, the absolute horror that happened there. And the line that you used was, how many people do we need to see cut down before we act?
Right.
If you're president, how would you act? What can you do?
Well, I think, look, there are a number of factors feeding into this, and I thought President Obama's statement earlier today was very, very moving. We have to have a candid national conversation about race and about discrimination, prejudice, hatred. You know, the people who do this kind of dastardly, horrible act are a very small percentage. But unfortunately, the public discourse is sometimes hotter and more negative than it should be, which can, in my opinion, trigger people who are less than stable to do something like what we
stop that, though, can you, Secretary Clinton? How do you stop? I mean,
well,
the age of the internet and then people posting on social media.
I think decent people need to stand up against it. It should not. We should not accept it, Joe.
But how do you stop it?
Well, I think we have to speak out against it. Like, for example, a recent entry into the Republican presidential campaign said some very inflammatory things about Mexicans. You know, everybody should stand up and say, that's not acceptable. You know, you don't talk like that on talk radio. You don't talk like that on, you know, the kind of political campaigns. No, but I think he is emblematic. You know, so I want people to understand it's not about him, it's about everybody. But then the second thing is guns. Let's just cut to the chase. It's guns. And we have to have a better balance. And I know you're going to have a universal background check kind of provision on the ballot here in Nevada. Apparently, the public, I can't speak, I haven't seen any recent polls of this state, but the national polls I've seen overall, gun owners support that. People who are strong proponents of the Second Amendment support that. But the Congress stops in the face of tremendous lobbying pressure from the gun lobby. So maybe on a local and state level, we have to keep building towards some kind of more sensible, balanced gun policy.
You're giving up on Congress being able to pass because of the lobby, because of the NRA lobby? You don't think it's going to happen?
Well, I mean, I think we saw that when you know, we had a bipartisan bill. We had the Republican senator from Pennsylvania, the Democratic senator from West Virginia with a bipartisan bill. People thought it would pass, and then at the end, you know, members of Congress were scared that they'd get an opponent. My husband saw this. When he passed the ban on assault weapons, a lot of people who voted for it because they knew it was the right thing to do, they didn't adequately defend their position because they were so just beaten up by the NRA, and they lost their seats. So there's a lot of fear, and I think if you stand up to that fear and you say, look, I'm speaking to law-abiding, reasonable people who don't want guns in the hands of unbalanced people, felons, terrorists. We've got to do more.
You'd be the president. You're essentially saying in D.C. we'd have to surrender to the NRA and leave it to the states?
No, but I think if you got to build it from the bottom up and the top down. And we shouldn't do one without the other because it won't work. We need to put people on notice in the states and begin to show you can survive by voting for something that the NRA doesn't like. And we've got to talk to people who care deeply about the Second Amendment, that there is a way to protect Second Amendment rights that can be balanced with protecting people from those who should not have guns.